Hi everyone, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Good. Today for science, we are going to talk about some really interesting things. I have some wonderful props that we're going to use to bring our lesson to life. Our lesson today is going to be about matter and the fact that everything on the earth is matter, everything around us, once it's taking up space, is matter. And this matter that we're talking about comes in three different states or forms. Does anyone think that they know what the three states or forms of matter are?
Solid, liquid, and gas.
Exactly, right? The states of matter are solid, liquid, and gas. So this crystal, for example, this is a solid. The milk you had for lunch today is going to be a liquid. And if I took some glitter and poured it into my hand, you see the glitter, and I blow it, you don't see the carbon dioxide, the gas coming out of my mouth, but that's exactly what it took to push the glitter off of my hand. So turn and give your group mate a high five. Turn to the person next to you, give them a high five. The reason that you can touch that person and the reason you can give them a high five is because your friends are made of matter too. Isn't that something? Right? It's interesting. We never think of it that way. So if it takes up space, it's matter. And everything around us is matter. Now, one thing about matter that is common to everything, regardless if it's a solid, a liquid, or a gas, is the fact that it's made up of tiny little atoms and molecules. Think of them as little building blocks. You cannot see them with your natural eye. You would need a microscope. Why would you need a microscope to see atoms and molecules?
I think you would need to use a microscope because atoms and molecules are very small.
Exactly. They're too small to see with your natural eye. Okay? So there are three main states. There's solid. We talked about it. There's liquid and gas. So let's talk about what makes a solid different from a liquid and what makes a liquid different from a gas. So a solid is something that holds its shape. It can be hard or soft. So we talked about this crystal, that's a solid. This is obviously hard. But this teddy bear that's very soft and cuddly, this is also a solid. The main characteristic of a solid is that it holds its shape. The molecules are packed really tight together so they stay in place. And that's what makes a solid a solid. Now, since a solid holds its shape, there's a characteristic about a liquid that's different from a solid. Okay, now a liquid takes the shape of the container that it's in. So I have this tall vase and it's filled with water, and the liquid in here has taken the shape of this vase, right? So what do you think is going to happen when I pour this water into another vase of a different shape, a circular vase? Let's pour it and see. Right? So a liquid, on the other hand, will change its shape to fit the shape of the container that it's being poured into, right? Liquids can be thin like water or they can be thick like honey, but they will always flow, but the molecules will always stay together and they will take the shape of whatever container that they're in. So that's the difference with a solid and a liquid. That's the main characteristic. Solids hold their shape and liquids take the shape of the container that they're in. Now we said that there are three states of matter: liquid, solid, and gas. Let's talk about a gas. So a gas also takes the shape of the container that it's in, but it will always spread out to fill the container. So you guys are seeing two balloons in my hand. This balloon has water in it, but the water filled the bottom of the balloon first, leaving enough space for me to blow some air in there. It doesn't fill up the entire balloon. It doesn't attempt to. It takes the shape of the balloon and it fills the bottom of the balloon first because of gravity. Now, this balloon, I blew air into it, and the air didn't go to the bottom of the balloon. The air filled the entire balloon. So air and gas, which is a state of matter, always attempts to fill up the container that it's in. So we've established that we have solid, we have liquids, and we have gas. Now, sometimes this matter that can exist in three forms, it can change its state. So who thinks they know what would be the thing? What would be the factor that would cause a matter to move from one state to the next?
I think that temperature would change its state, because then the molecules would try and change their shape to connect to what temperature there is.
Exactly. You said the amazing word that we were looking for, temperature. Sometimes matter can change states, usually by changing its temperature. Today we're going to use water, the same water I poured from this vase into the other. And the reason we're going to use water is because it's unique in the fact that it is one of the elements that naturally occurs in the earth in its three forms. So in its most common form, liquid, it covers 70% of the earth. Sometimes they refer to the earth as the water planet. And it can change into ice, which is a solid. So ice is also water. But what do you think water would need to go from a liquid to a solid? Would it need to be exposed to warmer temperatures or colder temperatures? What do you think?
I think it would have to be changed into a colder temperature, because then the molecules would have to get tight together, and soon they would just stay in that position.
Exactly. So colder temperatures would change water from a liquid into a solid. So in nature, if you were to go high to one of those tall mountain peaks, the water that's up there, because of the cold temperature, has turned into ice and snow. But if you move into warmer temperatures, the sun heats up the water and the molecules get a lot of energy. Now they want to fill up all the space around them, and that water, that liquid, turns into a gas and it rises up into the sky. That process is called evaporation. Now, as the air, which is water in its gaseous form as a gas, moves higher into the air, it encounters colder temperatures. So what do you think happens when the water, the liquid, gets heated up, turns into a gas, rises, and now gets cold air and turns into something that is what? What state of matter would water turn into after it's become a gas and it's encountered cold air?
I think it would turn back into a liquid because of temperature.
Right. It would go from a gas back into a liquid as rain, or into a solid as snow. That's a great thing about nature. We get to see water transforming through all its various states right before our eyes, and that happens naturally. So to recap, we talked about the fact that everything is matter. Matter is made up of tiny molecules, like little building blocks. It's too small to see with our natural eye. We have solids, right? That's a form of a matter, like these pencils. We have liquids, and we have gas, right? If I blow on a feather or glitter and you see it move out of my hand, it's because there is gas that's displacing it into the air. And we also discussed that water is unique because it is one thing that you can see in the earth in all its different forms, or all its different states of matter, as a liquid, water, as a gas through evaporation, as a solid, snow, precipitation. So now that we have all this information, I would love everyone to turn and talk and have healthy discussions about what we discussed today. But more importantly, I'm going to be walking around the class listening to how you share with your friends different things that you see that are different states of matter around your home and in your community. Okay, so everyone turn and talk.